Oh, it is a Tampa Tuesday morning here on Birds 365, because that's where the Eagles are headed next Monday. But we got to get there first. And we get there by talking about the Birds here on Birds 365 for the next 4 days. You got Mac and Mac, McMullen and McDonald here to shoot the Eagle breeze with you for the next couple hours. Nick Sirianni revealed all yesterday as to how the Eagles are going to get this thing turned around. Huh, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, he did. Very revealing now. A typical Nick Sirianni, trying to steady the ship. What else can you do at this point, though? So I'm not going to kill him for it, but no, nothing out of the ordinary, I would say. He keeps getting asked if he is going to change play colors, which, he had a one-word answer to that, which was no. And, I don't expect him to change play colors. I think that would be silly at that point. I think it was silly when they did it the first time. So I certainly would think it would be silly in week 19 going into the playoffs. I think it would be beyond silly. I don't know.
Let me follow that up then, because last night I did a show on WIP and I called it a brainstorming session to see if anybody could come up with any ideas how to turn a sinking ship around. And one person did suggest, well, if Nick Sirianni's going to sit up there, whatever, in his after game, day after press conference, and take a page completely out of Andy Reid's book, I got to do a better job. That's on me. I got to coach him up better. He's taken all the bullets, which I think is commendable, as a matter of fact. But it does get repetitious, and it gets to the point. I used to make fun of Andy Reid on how much he would say, it's on me. I got to do better. It just becomes background noise. And actually, I thought that one point it got so bad it was actually something that would make you laugh. But the new head coach is following the old head coach's lead, and he's taking all the blame. Well, then how about you take the responsibility too? If you're going to take the verbal blame, if you're going to stand up there and try and take it all on yourself, well, then how about following it up with some action? He continues to tell us that it's Nick Sirianni's offense. That when they were lambasting Brian Johnson for his play calling, it's my offense. He might be calling a play, but it's my offense. Well, then really make it your offense. How about you call the plays on Monday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I don't think it's near as outrageous as you do for him to say, all right, yeah, if the ship's going down, the captain better grab the wheel. Let me call the plays. You think that's ridiculous?
I don't think it's ridiculous. I think, I think it's because I know he's not doing it. I think it's a waste of time is how I would describe it. So, I mean, he said it to us,
but
100 times.
Let me interrupt you, and I'll apologize. Would you have not said after week 8 or 9, whenever it was when they were 8-1, well, it's ridiculous to think they swap out Sean Desai. They're 8-1. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I did, and I've said it pretty consistently. And again, if Nick hadn't told me 150 times he wasn't taking play calling back, I would entertain it. I mean, that's the only reason I don't entertain it. I'm not saying it's ridiculous from your standpoint. I'm not saying it's ridiculous from anybody else's standpoint. It's a natural conclusion. I'm saying he said it so many times. Now, he can lie. He's lied to us before. He's lied to us again.
That's what I'm getting at, John. But it isn't like everything that comes from Nick Sirianni's lips is God's given truth.
But why do people want him to take over the play calling? If he's the worst coach in the world, why do you want that? What there's some of the things, I saw Jeff Stoutland, Hollis Thomas on Mark Farzetta's show said, why doesn't Jeff Stoutland take over play calling? Well, why the hell is Jeff Stoutland calling plays? Where's he called plays? Where's that evidence? What I mean, there's certain things.
Sirianni was an offensive coordinator.
Sirianni was an offensive coordinator who didn't call plays, and then when he did call plays, it didn't go well. Early in the process here. But again, that's not my point. He could do it. It's not going to change anything. It's his offense. It's built to, the only thing that changes between Shane Steichen and Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni, and insert name next year if you want somebody else to do it next year, and Nick's still the head coach. The only thing that changes is the feel in the moment, which I think Shane was very good at.
Yep.
To be fair, the feel in the moment. That's the only thing that changes. The Big Cheesecake Factory menu is going to be the same. They're going to build the offense during the week. You're going to have a certain group of plays on third and short, third and middle, third and long, red zone. It's all mapped out. It's not like they go, hey, Brian Johnson, go make something up in the middle of the game. I think people believe that. That's not how it's done. So the only thing that changes is the feel in the moment. And I'm not saying that can't be important. It can be very important. But, I haven't seen the feel from Nick Sirianni. I've seen the feel from one guy, and you can't get him back. So unless you can figure out how to get Shane Steichen in as a consultant while he's the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, yeah, I don't think this offense is changing. And to me, I always say, and I'm pretty consistent with, not that there aren't many problems on this offense, because there are, but I got a hard time getting to them because I can't get past the defense, which is the much larger problem. To me, the offense comes down, and there are a couple things. Dallas Goedert with that weird quote about basically mailing it in at the end of the season. You got Chad Johnson for some.
Again, for the third time, I'm going to interrupt you in the first 8 minutes of the show. I apologize. Do you believe Dallas believes that? Or do you think he was just didn't have something to say and was spitballing and talking off the top of his head? That, and you certainly have to point the finger at Dallas because he's got to be guilty of it, but he kind of made a sweeping statement about his teammates that they actually did take their foot off the gas when they qualified for the playoffs as early as they did. I'm not asking whether he's accurate or not. I'm just asking you whether he really believes that.
He might have talked himself into it. That would be the best I would say. And that's why I was bringing up Chad, they're playing possum. Well, if they're playing possum, we're going to figure out pretty quickly. I mean, to me, it would be astonishingly silly to play possum. But they have talent on offense. They have talent. So to me, if everybody wakes up and Jalen Hurts brings his A game and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith is healthy and the offensive line for the second consecutive season, everybody's a Pro Bowler or Pro Bowl alternate, which is astonishing, by the way. Every single 10 for 10. They have talent on the offensive side of the football. They don't have talent on the defensive side of the football, other than, certain guys on the front who aren't living up to their expectations. We can talk about that. But, if you were to grade the talent on defense, it's probably below average compared to the rest of the league, whereas offensively it's well above average. So, maybe they can turn the switch on offensively, certainly against Tampa Bay. Maybe they can turn it on. I could buy that. I can't buy it defensively. I can't. I can't even envision a road, a path. It's easy to envision a path offensively. Just play clean football. Just don't make stupid mistakes. Let your best players take over. It's an easy path. It really is. Defensively, there's no path. There really isn't. And it's only gotten worse. I joke they're Benjamin buttoning the communication aspect. They're going backwards instead of you're supposed to get better as you go through the season. The communication increases as you go through the season, gets incrementally better. It's only gotten worse, partially because of the change of the defensive play callers, which to me, again, was a panic move. But offensively, because that's where we started, I mean, they got players. So you go 14-1. From a logical standpoint, you go 14-1 with Jalen Hurts as the starting quarterback, and then you go 10-1. And all of a sudden, you start losing games. So and everybody, look, they don't want to blame the players, so they want to blame the coaches. And I don't care who the coach is. Insert name. They're going to blame the coaches because they want to protect the players. That's fine.
When you say there, who are you referring to?
The fan base, the large portion of the fan base wants
Gotcha.
to protect the players versus the coach. It's easy to blame the
It's
coaches.
easier to blame the coaches,
Yeah.
right?
Did they all of a sudden get stupid overnight? Did they all of a sudden, or did the rest of the league, from a logical standpoint, did the rest of the league, they woke up one day and they said, you know what, Nick Bosa is right. This is how you play the Eagles, and you can beat them at will. How dumb are they then? If they just woke up, they were getting their asses handed to them 24 out of 26 games, whatever it was, 25 out of 27 for over, well over a year, close to 2 years. And all of a sudden woke up the rest of the league, the rest of these dummies who couldn't figure it out, and said, oh, now we have the magic carpet. No, the players aren't performing up to the standard that they were before. And so offensively, I can see that switch being turned on. Defensively, I can't see that switch being turned on.
Then this lends me to one more question, and then I see our buddy Tommy Lawless ready to jump in for love a guest who's not only on time but early. That's why we love Tommy. If your read on the offense and defense talent-wise is accurate, which I believe it is, how come nobody's looking at Howie Roseman for the defense that he assembled?
I think people are starting to look at it and saying, I think you've seen he's no longer in the conversation for executive of the year. People gave him that 2-time executive of the year back to back.
The day drafted Jalen Carter, he got it for the 2024.
That ain't happening. He ain't going to win that again. So I think people are starting to figure out that, there were and some of it, look, I mean, we can talk about injuries, in hindsight, they probably were counting on Nakobe Dean way too much. They were probably counting on Reed Blankenship way too much. And part of it is going into a different phase of understanding what's coming down the road with the quarterback and the money. And you got to start developing some younger players. And that's where I would if you put most of the onus on the coaching staff, developing younger players. If you want to criticize them, I would criticize them more towards that, getting them up to speed quickly. We talked about Nolan Smith. There should be a better path to him getting meaningful playing time that doesn't involve him playing Mike linebacker out of position. So, there's things to point out, but Howie's certainly one of them when it comes to the back seven, especially on defense.
Well, and I know one quote I saw yesterday that the Philadelphia Eagles, and when I say this, I mean everybody, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, all of his coaches, nobody wanted to hear this. Javon Hargrave came out yesterday and took a shot at the Eagles for their chill practice.
Yeah, I saw that. I was thinking about you, Jody. Yeah. He said things are much tougher in San Francisco, which is no surprise. They, Kyle Shanahan's Mike Shanahan's son. I mean, yeah, he runs a tougher ship.
Nick Sirianni's, what's his dad's name? He keeps referring back to him, Fran. He's Fran's son. Why the hell's he so chill? He's a coach's son too. Same as Shanahan.
Well, remember and by the way, I've said consistently, and I still believe today, if it were up to Nick Sirianni alone, the Eagles would practice more. I've yet to meet the football coach that doesn't want to practice.
Organization didn't want to hear that because you're right. That indictment comes from the top down.
Yeah. So I think that's an organizational philosophy. And yeah, I mean, people are going to jump on it. Javon was a hell of a player here, and he's a hell of a player there, at least pass rushing wise. So, he was fine here. And he's fine there. So it didn't affect him either way because he's a good player. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's always, to me, it's always personnel first. Always, always, always. And that's when I say it all the time, Jody. When things were going good, I put it more on the personnel. When things are going bad, I put it more on the personnel. So at least I'm consistent. It's personnel first. Not to say there aren't some issues with this coaching staff, but I think most of it has to do with, as I said, player development, teaching, techniques, fundamentals, communication. I look at more at that than the nebulous play calling term, which I say, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. And I get to talk to the coaches and watch the film and get the all 22. And I can't figure it out. So what makes you think you can figure it out and I'm not talking about you, but anybody who criticizes play calling on the moment when you're watching a play on television where you can't see? It's absurd. You're not judging play calling, you're judging play results.
Oh, I agree with that. But that's the want of the fan at home. They want to know, they want to believe they know more than those who are actually in charge. All right. I'm in charge here on Birds 365 of deciding when we go to break. And I'm deciding right now that we're going to break because Tommy Lawler from eaglesblitz.com is in the green room. He's ready to jump in with us here on Birds 365.